Livyatan melvillei, commonly known as Livyatan, was an ancient whale that swam the oceans millions of years ago. The only thing we can tell that shared the water with them and was a comparable size and threat was the megalodon shark. Other than that, Livyatan was the apex predator of the Miocene epoch. Little is known about this prehistoric whale, but what we know is fascinating. Journey with us, here at Legendary Nature, as we explore more about this amazing prehistoric whale. And remember to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Everything we know about this incredible sea creature, or monster, depending on who you ask, comes from carefully observing the limited fossil records we have. There has only been one partially preserved skull and jaw discovered. And along with several teeth, this is all we have to tell us about Livyatan. However, with the incredible technology we have and the comparisons we can draw from their modern relative, the sperm whale, there is a lot we can tell about this creature's life. The Livyatan is the only species from the extinct genus, Macroraptorial sperm whale. Concerning size, our current data suggest it was approximately the same size as the modern sperm whale. Records indicate that Livyatan's total length was likely around 13.5 to 17.5 meters, or 44 to 57 feet, and weighed around 62 tons based on its length. In addition to the modern sperm whale, Livyatan was also comparable in size to the ancient megalodon shark. The primary reason we can only estimate the size of the whale is that we've only discovered a skull and some teeth. However, using the length of the skull, scientists can estimate the size based on Livyatan's modern relative. However, its body size wasn't the only fearsome aspect of this sea creature. It also boasts the largest biting teeth, excluding tusks, of any discovered animal. At over 1 foot long, the gaping mouth of the Livyatan would have been a terrifying sight. The fossil evidence suggests that Livyatan would bite off large chunks of its prey with these massive teeth. Also, the strange wear on opposing teeth suggests that they are interlocked to keep struggling prey from escaping the creature's mouth. The modern sperm whale and Livyatan share one thing in common though. The basin at the top of their skull that housed the spermaceti organ is a similar size. However, the Livyatan's basin did not hang over the eyes, it was defined by high bone walls. As long as this served the same function as modern sperm whales, this basin and organ would have been used for echolocation and ramming other creatures. As best as we can tell, given the time period it lived in and how big it was, Livyatan would have been an apex predator in the seas. Unlike the modern sperm whale, who spends most of its time in deep water feeding on small to medium prey, Livyatan probably hunted large prey like baleen whales, sharks, or other marine vertebrates near the surface. In fact, its hunting patterns probably had more in common with the modern killer whale. It would chase other creatures until they were tired, then drag them down until they drowned. It's hard to say whether Livyatan hunted in packs like the killer whale, though. It was likely big enough to be a lone wolf hunter. However, it probably shared similar food sources and hunting grounds with another top predator in the water, the megalodon shark. So, it's possible they shared similar habits to modern sperm whales and occasionally hunted in packs, which would discourage a megalodon from bothering them. The only conclusively identified fossils from Livyatan have been found in Peru and Chile. But several other places like Australia, South Africa, and Argentina were home to some large sperm whale teeth. Based on fossil dating records, these could have been a different species or possibly a close relative of this massive creature. These fossils tell us that Livyatan populations were likely spread across a large area. However, they probably restricted themselves to the southern hemisphere because of temperature and water pressure. The evidence tells us that Livyatan lived long before we ever did, because fossil dating puts their existence in the Miocene epoch, approximately 9.9 to 8.9 million years ago in the Upper Miocene during the Neogene period. Because of its large size, the Livyatan did not likely have many natural predators. In fact, it probably preyed on other predators in the ocean. However, because it shared the waters with the megalodon shark, there likely would have been some epic battles between them, if they had decided not to leave each other alone. The only real threat these whales would have experienced was finding enough food to survive. When they were alive, this wouldn't have been a very big problem because their only major competition was the megalodon. But later on in their existence, as we find out when we talk about Livyatan's extinction, competition for food grew fierce. One major contributing factor to Livyatan dying out was the water cooling during the early Pliocene epoch, which began around 5.3 million years ago. Another factor that played into their extinction was the increase in killer whale populations. Livyatan didn't suddenly become prey. However, the competition for food became too much for this 62-ton sea monster, and it couldn't keep up with the changing times and perished into extinction. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe.